The room was buzzing with designer suits, diamond watches, and whispered bets. It was the kind of luxury auction where only the ultra-rich showed up, ready to drop millions on rare art and vintage cars without blinking. Everyone noticed when a man walked in wearing scuffed-up sneakers, faded jeans, and a plain hoodie. He looked more like someone who got lost on the way to a thrift store than a serious bidder. A few people chuckled quietly. One woman scoffed. "Must be here for the free snacks," she said under her breath. But the man didn't react. He walked with confidence, not arrogance, found a seat in the back corner, far from the spotlight. While others raised numbered paddles, he kept his hands in his pockets. While others flashed watches, he tapped gently on an old phone. No one knew his name. No one asked. Why would they? He didn't look like he belonged there. As the auction heated up, the bids reached into the millions. A rare vintage Ferrari was announced next, causing a wave of excitement. Phones came out. Bankers whispered. The bidding began with sharp, loud offers. $1.2 million, shouted one. $1.05, yelled another. Then came the pause. A silent alert lit up the auctioneer's screen. A private bid had just been placed, anonymous, verified, and triple the current offer. The room fell silent. The auctioneer looked up, stunned. And from the back corner, the man in the hoodie simply smiled, like this was the moment he'd been waiting for. Whispers swept through the auction house like wildfire. Who was this guy? No one had seen him register. No one recognized him from the usual elite circles. The regular bidders glanced at each other, trying to mask their confusion with forced smirks. The man in the hoodie didn't say a word. He just leaned back in his chair, calm, like he'd seen this all before. The auctioneer, clearly thrown off, cleared his throat and confirmed the bid. $3.7 million, verified. A murmur rippled through the room. Some looked annoyed, others amused. One sharply dressed businessman leaned toward his assistant, whispering, "Find out who he is, now." But the assistant came back shaking his head. No online trail, no flashy socials, no trace of wealth. It didn't add up. Behind the scenes, security double-checked the payment method. Everything was real. The money had already cleared, sent moments before the bid. The timing was too perfect to be random. Someone had planned this, and they weren't playing by anyone else's rules. Meanwhile, back in the crowd, one of the older attendees squinted at the man. Something about him felt familiar. Not his clothes, not his face, but the way he carried himself. Calm under pressure. Quiet, but in control. The man tapped his phone again, then looked up briefly, meeting the eyes of the auctioneer with the faintest nod. At that moment, everyone realized this wasn't a fluke. And whatever was coming next, no one in that room was ready for it. In the minutes that followed, the room tried to return to normal, but it couldn't. The energy had shifted. The usual bidders, who thrived on being seen, suddenly felt invisible. The man in the hoodie, quiet, unbothered, had disrupted their world without lifting a paddle or saying a word. One man, Marcus Lang, a high-profile collector with a reputation for never losing a bid, couldn't hide his irritation. He'd been eyeing that Ferrari for months. It was supposed to be his. Now, someone he'd never heard of had swept in like a ghost. Marcus wasn't one to let things go. He motioned for the auction director, whispering furiously. Meanwhile, the crowd continued watching the mystery man, hoping for a clue, something that would explain how a guy who looked completely out of place had just bought one of the most valuable cars of the night with no warning, no noise, and no visible wealth. Backstage, assistants and staff huddled around a screen. They were trying to trace the transaction, but it had gone through a private holding firm with zero public links. The name on the account was blacked out under legal protection. That kind of secrecy didn't come cheap. Meanwhile, a woman from the press section, one of the few reporters allowed inside, started digging. She had seen him before, but not at auctions. She remembered an article about a self-made tech investor who went off the grid after selling a startup for hundreds of millions. But could this really be him? And if it was, why return like this? Now. The tension inside the auction hall had reached a quiet boil. Every glance, every whisper was now centered around the man in the hoodie. Marcus Lang, now visibly agitated, wasn't letting this slide. He made a bold move, standing up mid-auction and calling out, "I challenge the bid. There's no way someone like that is legit." The room gasped. It wasn't just what he said, it was the way he said it, loud enough to turn every head. The man didn't flinch. He just looked up slowly, calm as ever. The auctioneer raised his hand, trying to keep control. "All payments have cleared. The bid is valid. Let's proceed." But the drama had already broken the surface. The woman from the press section typed furiously into her phone, her article now shifting from a routine luxury auction to a story about ego, wealth, and a mysterious millionaire playing by his own rules. Marcus, refusing to back down, pushed further. "If he's real, why hide? Why not show your face, your name? What are you scared of?" His words echoed with entitlement, and some of the crowd began to murmur, not in support, but discomfort. The arrogance was showing. The man in the hoodie stood up slowly. For the first time all night, he stepped forward, toward the stage. His steps were deliberate, controlled. His silence said more than Marcus's shouting ever could. And as he reached into his pocket, pulling out a small envelope, the room held its breath. What was inside would change everything. The man handed the envelope to the auctioneer without saying a word. The room was dead silent, everyone frozen, waiting for whatever came next. The auctioneer opened it carefully, eyes scanning the paper inside. His brows lifted slightly. He turned to Marcus and then to the rest of the audience. "This," he said slowly, "is a certificate of ownership. Not only has he bought the Ferrari, he already owns the building we're standing in." A gasp rippled through the audience. Marcus's face dropped, stunned into silence. The press section exploded with movement as cameras clicked, and reporters scrambled to confirm the unbelievable claim. The man in the hoodie had just flipped the entire power dynamic. He hadn't just shown up to bid. He had walked into his own building and bought one of the night's most valuable items like it was nothing. People began whispering louder now. Who is this guy? How did no one know? The woman from the press section searched her tablet again. Then it clicked. She looked up, eyes wide. "It's Liam Rowe," she whispered. "The tech guy who vanished after selling his AI company. His company had powered major financial systems, and after a massive acquisition, he disappeared from the spotlight. No media, no interviews. Until now." But as the crowd processed the revelation, a soft alert buzzed across the auctioneer's tablet. A flagged message from the legal team. "Possible breach," it read. "There's a challenge on the ownership papers." Whatever this was, it wasn't over yet. All eyes darted between the man, now revealed as Liam Rowe, and the auctioneer, whose face had gone pale. The legal team quickly approached the stage, whispering with urgency. Marcus, sensing an opportunity, smirked. "See, I knew something was off," he said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. Liam stood still, unbothered, watching the chaos unfold around him. The head of the legal team stepped forward, clearing his throat. "There appears to be a flagged document in the system, an anonymous claim questioning the validity of the building's ownership transfer made earlier this year." The room buzzed with confusion. Could this mystery billionaire have faked it? Had someone set him up? Liam calmly pulled out a small USB drive from his pocket and handed it to the auctioneer. "Everything's on here. The sale, the legal handover, the timestamps. I knew someone might try to challenge it." His voice, steady and quiet, cut through the noise. The auctioneer plugged it into the nearest laptop. After a few tense moments, the screen lit up with the official documents, signed, stamped, and legally airtight. The flag had been planted by someone trying to discredit the deal. All eyes turned to Marcus. Liam looked directly at him. "You're not the only one who knows how to play the game," he said with a calm grin. Just then, another alert appeared, this one from an overseas branch. It said, asterisk new highest bid submitted for Marcus's prized McLaren asterisk by Liam. Game set, match. The room sat in stunned silence as the bid confirmation for Marcus's McLaren flashed across the screen. Liam had just turned the tables in a way no one saw coming. He didn't gloat. He didn't need to. With a slight nod to the auctioneer, he turned and calmly walked out, the crowd parting as he passed. The same people who dismissed him hours ago now stared in awe, phones raised, recording every second. Marcus didn't say a word. He stood frozen, the weight of his own pride collapsing in on him. His McLaren, his reputation, even the spotlight, gone in a matter of minutes. The woman from the press, now buzzing with messages from her editor, had her headline: "Silent billionaire outsmarts elite at luxury auction." Within minutes, the story would go viral. Outside, as Liam stepped into the back of a waiting black SUV, one of the security staff handed him a folded piece of paper. It was a note left by a young bidder he'd spoken to earlier, someone new, struggling to break into the collector world. It simply read, asterisk, "Thank you for showing us it's not about the noise. It's about knowing your worth, asterisk." As the car pulled away from the glowing auction hall, Liam smiled faintly. He hadn't come to prove anything. He'd come to remind them all that real wealth doesn't need to be loud. Sometimes, the quietest presence leaves the biggest impact. And just like that, the man they once ignored had rewritten the rules.